Craig, Wembley week. What does it mean to you, Wembley as a stadium?
Oh, it means everything. I think just going back as a young lad from Bradford, whether it was watching Rugby League or watching the FA Cup final, it felt like a place that was on another planet. And also you start playing rugby and you look back at some of the great Wembley finals of the year, and it's a dream. It's also then becomes a dream that you chase as a player. And I think I played in 3 Challenge Cup semi-finals, never made it. So it just means everything to me to be going there again. To be fair, but in a slightly different role this time, it means absolutely everything.
How ready are you? Obviously, you had a tough game yesterday against York. It sounded on the radio like a bit of a physical one, I think it'd be fair to say. Have you come through unscathed?
Yeah. We've I won't say we've lucky. We've just come through unscathed. Listen, the minute we beat him in the semi-final, your mind was on that game, to be fair. And it was always going to be a really tough encounter. You almost have a choice, don't you? You send out a weakened side and guarantee that everybody unscathed, or you kind of go, something, roll up your sleeves, let's show our character and go try and get a win. And, we've gone and got a win, a really tough one. And I truly believe it was what we needed. What we didn't need was an easy run out, a blow-away score. We needed to be tested, and that's what York did, and we came out the right end for once at their place. I think it's been a while, to be fair.
Johnny Cunningham started on the bench. Was that a tactical issue, or was that an injury issue?
No. Listen, it was one of them where you're in between. Do you want to rest certain players? And I'll be honest, beforehand we talked about resting Jodie, and she wasn't too impressed. And it was right, okay, let's start on the bench and see how it goes. And she was on there to cover a couple of playing positions as well. Where in our head it was we may need to get certain people off the field to, if they're starting to look fatigued a little bit. And it was almost lucky that she was on, because when she came on, she made a difference for us in what was a real tough encounter.
Wigan, what have you made of their start to the season? Unbeaten, so it's not been a bad.
Yeah, fantastic. They've been great in all the areas. They are the informed team at the moment, and we're going to have to be at our best to get what we want out of the weekend, without a doubt. Dennis has done a great job, and I always laugh to myself, really, because I always think back to Amanda winning the first grand final, and people seem to forget that success isn't new to them. They were the first ones when we went over to professional games. So, they've kicked on, they've built a really strong squad, brought over some really good imports, and it's what you want. You want to go to Wembley, you want a big challenge, and at the end of the day, you want to win.
2018 seems like a very long time ago in women's rugby league, but with the way that things have just progressed so quickly.
Yeah, things have really progressed so quickly, and in certain areas I think we've really strengthened and moved on, especially when you look at some of the young players coming through. But I think this weekend's all about showcasing where we're at, and make sure that we put the women's game in a real big, a really good place in terms of we're progressing, we're improving, and showcase what we can do.
2 teams that are obviously, as you say, battle hardened after the weekend.
Yeah.
So hopefully should be a great final as well.
Yeah, it is. I think both teams will be determined to showcase the sport in the best light possible, and that's what we'll do. But it's about getting a win at the end of the day, and there's also the rivalry between the 2 clubs as well. That adds a little bit of spice to it. Albeit we are all mates and we do get on, and so, but it adds a bit of spice in terms of a big derby on the biggest stage, really.
Is that a nice way to sell it to the neutral? Obviously, Saints and Leeds have had some great finals over the years, but Saints and Wigan, it means something to people who don't know anything about rugby league or women's rugby league.
Yeah, I think when you go Saints, Wigan, most people will obviously it'll grab their attention, and that's what we want to do. We want to grab people's attention. We want to get as many people watching the game as possible. We want to showcase it, but I think in the towns that we're saying in Wigan, but in St Helens, there's people. The minute we got through and we knew it was Wigan, there's people that have never watched a women's game before, people that are not massively rugby league fans, and people that are rugby league fans coming and wanting to chat to you about it. So it's already grabbing people's attention, and that's what we want, really. We want to put the women's game on the biggest stage possible, and there's something about this game. I don't think it could be any bigger.